Well, my computer camera was finally able to turn on. Looks like the Haxy Fuxies are having kind of a fit because I wanted to record a video saying that, yes, it looks like a nice and sunny day, and the boys in the hood are doing work that might create some kind of spark that could land on some of the carefully created, not by me, by the municipal gang that owns my landlord, that forced my landlord via their creepy husband, who's a pretty high up, I would say, it's upstanding high up member of the sabotage gang locally, what appears to be the sabotage gang locally run by some aspect of the authorities that are in the district courthouses. Not saying all the authorities in the district courthouses, certainly there do have to be people of integrity, but yep, I'm calling it the district court gang when I don't call it the old school gang or the meth production gang or the embezzling gang or, because what I've seen is that they rotate the same violent petty criminals that I've actually been personally threatened by. In 2015, I uploaded video showing them doing that's before the latest one where the sheriff's like, they're just doing their job. As they rolled back and forth just past my house on the street, scraping the street, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So yeah, in 2015 when this first started, they hired one of the petty criminals to do community service. Right after this dude had allegedly committed vehicular, like they took someone down to the park, to Clemgard Park, and 3 of them beat up on one of them. Another person hit them with the car and then left them down at the park. So then my municipality, that is, I definitely think is abusive and aggressive and criminal, and I'm waiting for an audit on it. My municipality brought this person on as one of their rotating assistant employees, or sometimes they have volunteers. They have volunteers that come in and get through our accounts in the water and billing and run the city stuff, the equipment, and whatever they want. And they claim that the eminent domain actually comes up here into my house. So legally, apparently, because of the district court gang factor especially, they're basically allowed to violate landlord tenant law. They're allowed to come straight up to my window. My window is allegedly now on city property. So yeah, so they hired this dude that was allegedly, possibly, potentially part of and was serving, jail time, to I videotaped them rolling back and forth in front of my house, scraping the road for 2.5 hours, I think, that day. And I carefully recorded because I could tell that they were creating a situation where the road was being tilted, the bed of the road, so that the water would run towards my yard instead of towards the drainage ditch on the other side. The drainage ditches have all also been silted in, so that they're about half full of silt and don't function very well. So, yeah, so my water bill, I was getting double charged, triple charged, having it shut off, paying $300 a month for 3 months in a row, having completely the people that went over the bill, who are very clever people, and one of them used to work for the water billing here for, I guess, decades, and or decades ago or something, but anyway, so they know the system. They're like, this makes no sense, but so I'm waiting for an audit on that. So now I finally have worked through the sheriff's department enough that they're not allowed to screw with my bill, because they would just like change my bill whenever they want. People would break into my house, steal my bills, then they'd end up in the post office with no meter mark and no stamps, but the whole stack of envelopes that I had that had just the red mark on them with no stamp and no metering. The red mark is just something that goes, it's a date stamp at the post office. It's done by hand. It's not got anything to do with running it through the system. So all those were like one of the bags. Like they stole my bag of paperwork, and then it came back with all my envelopes, which were all helter-skelter in the bag. They were all stacked up and had a rubber band around them. I'm like, mm-hmm. But they all had stamps on them and the meter mark. Not the meter mark, but the red hand stamp thing. So anyway, yeah, there's all this going on. They hire someone, and so I felt threatened at that point when they were driving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because their faces were like, ah, as they drove. And, you know, yeah, take that out of context and put that in a video, scumbags. Eventually you'll get caught at this. So I felt threatened, and that was even before I knew that the dude had actually participated in a beatdown and a rundown and a leave. Right? So now that I know this guy's name, I've watched him go in and out of the jail, in and out of the jail, and come back here and do more threatening. And I've been in the courts so often since I've been in my lovely hometown, where I spent so much of my youth in the courts and then was able to, you know, live a life for a while without that. But yeah, so back and forth in front of the owner judge. We're just not even going to go into the comptroller's assistant being married to my landlord before by this same judge right now, or what I think the comptroller's office is involved in. So what it looks like to me from being in the courtroom so often and being forced to sit there and watch everyone else's court cases, looks like people get instructions in court, and these people rotate through. Like the last time I was in, the judge had 2 people with 5 times they'd been doing the same thing. Like the guy was in there for this time, he broke into some house, and probably, I mean, maybe I even did this when I was a kid, I don't know. I mean, no, actually, my mom's house, I used to break in and clean the house. She would come home and find her house clean and know that I had been there. Ooh, that's bad. That's bad. So yeah, so this dude was in jail at this point because somebody came home and found them on their couch and didn't know who they were, and the guy broke the lock to get in there. I don't know what the story was, but the upshot was that this was like his 6th time into the courtroom for these kind of charges, and he was a young dude, so it couldn't have been too many years since he turned 18. And the previous 5 times he'd been let out on the own recognizance thing without bonds, and had to have a warrant placed on him because he did failure to appear for his court date. So for the 6th time, the judge is like, well, sure, I'm going to let you out on your own recognizance because, you know, I shouldn't, but... And so he's sitting up there, the dude, with some other guy that also looked like, you know, and previously when I've been in the court, there's like, you know, nobody's there, but the prosecuting attorney is like, one time it was hilarious. So threatening people that I know hang out next door sometimes, who've also threatened me with guns and just words about guns. But like, so then the prosecuting attorney, after these scary people that are all around, gets up and says, you know, this person isn't out, and I know they're not going to show up without a warrant, so we need a warrant because they got busted for making all these homemade dangerous weapons. And they keep looking at me, and they had a weapon like this and a weapon like that and a weapon like the other thing. And I'm like, yeah, pretty much I grew up in the party circuit, and I know all about your dangerous fucking weapons. And bring it. So anyway, today looks like a perfectly well set up day for a fire. And when I tried to record that on my phone, it didn't work. And then it couldn't connect to the internet, the other phone. And then my laptop got a remote kill switch on it. And now Facebook has a weird page. So I would have to say the cyber hackies are not too thrilled with the idea that I'm aware that they created a fire trap. That I'm aware that they're a gang, that I'm aware that they forced my landlord to do this. Not that that person It takes too much distress to do mean things to people, but I know that they feel guilty for the things that they already did to me, and they're trying to make up for it, and they're not being allowed to do it by the criminal gang that owns this town. So I wish ICE would come here and liberate us. I don't even care if you haul me off and pretend that I'm a Mexican person and do whatever. Just freaking get rid of the gang. Get rid of them. They're all pedigree people too, so I doubt that you can even do anything because they can get caught red-handed and they'll blame someone else. And old grandpa judge is like, okay, sounds like a good idea. You know, I mean, last time I was in there, he is congratulating my landlady's husband, who admitted that their riding lawnmower brushed up against my legs, who admitted that when I was upstairs, they wanted to push me down the stairs, kick me down the stairs. I mean, that's what they said. They said that in court, that they were thinking. And why were they being allowed to bring up this stuff from years ago anyways? And slanderously and lying. And I mean, there was like point blank proof on that they hadn't done certain things, and there's paper trails backing up that he's perjuring himself under oath. And it's like, I mean, paper trails that probably disappeared. Yes, I know you can get in my email and take away all my emails and mess around with my apps and move them from one phone to the other. Ooh, you're so scary, you ghosties. You're so scary. Boo. God's coming for you, so I don't really care. I'm posting this now, Fire Boys, and then we're going for a walk. Abusers, dirty white t-shirt brigade. I've studied the domestic violence cycle, and since you study it, once you study it, you can see it happening. That's why you guys haven't caught me yet, because you're clinical and pathological, and the behavior's obvious. It's predictable. Ha ha ha.